Times front page story comes on the Sunday before the first presidential debate. Now, I warned you about so-called anti-Trump blockbuster stories coming at a feverish pace up until the election. This is all part of that coordinated attack to destroy the president. If the leaker was someone inside the IRS, it would serve as more proof of the lengths the career ruling class of bureaucrats will go to preserve the swamp. If it was someone on the president's team, well, I have long warned him. His biggest challenge in office is figuring out who he can trust and who he can't. Either way, it is a crime, and the leaker must be rooted out.
It's totally fake news, made up, fake. We went through the same stories. You could have asked me the same questions 4 years ago. I had to litigate this and talk about it. Totally fake news. No, actually, I paid tax, and you'll see that as soon as my tax returns. It's under audit.
Well, of course it's under audit. And guess what? The New York Times confirmed that, too, that he's under audit. You see, this story is nothing but sensationalistic, written by uninformed rubes with clearly no business acumen or experience, which is why the biggest story the mainstream media will not tell you about all of this is that the story is a big nothing burger, right? Except for the fact that even the Times was also forced to admit 15 years of Trump tax returns showed no Trump connection to Russia, no connection at all to Russia, and no itemized payments to the president's former disgraced lawyer, Michael Cohen. The entire package of tax returns gives us valuable insight into how corporate filings actually work. And it should be noted, there is a huge difference between tax losses and actual losses. You cannot, and I repeat, cannot get an accurate picture of someone's finances by simply looking at taxes. But this is something way over the heads of these left-wing reporters who have spent a lifetime signing the backs of paychecks, not the front of them. For a clear picture, you need financial statements. Most useful would be a statement of cash flows. That simply shows how much comes in versus how much goes out, and that tells you in the end what's left over. Now, let me be clear. It is the goal of any CEO and his financial team to avoid paying as much in taxes as possible. Notice I said avoid, not evade. Tax avoidance is the fiduciary duty of any corporate officer. Tax evasion is illegal. And the New York Times, as much as they have wanted to, does not make any allegation of that. You see, it appears the president did everything any CEO would do. He used the legal tools of depreciation, which can be massive for real estate developers, bad debt deductions, capital losses, passive loss deductions, consulting fees, and the list goes on and on and on. These items reduce your tax burden. They are legal, and every business uses them, from the grocery store on the corner to the boardrooms on Fifth Avenue. And go figure, the Times never mentioned in its hit piece that in 2018, 60 of the nation's biggest firms paid no taxes at all. I'm talking about companies like Amazon, Netflix, IBM, Goodyear, GM, U.S. Steel, and that list goes on as well.
But the New York Times has been doing fake story after fake story. I've never seen anything like it. And people understand it. And that's why the media has such a low approval rating now because of what they've done. It's really a shame.
Well, here's the real investigation that needs to be done. Find the leaker and find who coordinated with him or her, who inside the Biden campaign or the DNC facilitated the leak that most likely came through government connections. And since the New York Times refused to give the Trump team copies of these returns, we can't even be sure of their legitimacy. Now, I suspect that they are most likely real. But I also suspect they do not include the president's personal returns, which most likely would show the president has paid millions of dollars in taxes, as he continues to insist.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.